Smells good.
Yeah, it's good. I do one for you.
Just noodles?
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay. So, hello. Welcome to the Go Grab That Day podcast. I want to get straight into some fights. Unfortunately, last week we didn't cover the Curtis Blaydes and Derek Lewis event. Just been crazy week, and thankfully we had two fight nights rather than an actual big main card. So I'm gonna break the two of them down together here. But just been a crazy week, so unfortunately couldn't get it done last week. Just a lot of stuff happening between working two jobs and stuff like that. But anyway, I want to get into it straight away here. Very quickly, I will say, like I say every week, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, scream out loud about the Go Grab That Day podcast and everything else that is Go Grab That Day. We're trying to do a lot more things, as I've said before, between clothing and eventually some PT stuff, and plenty of stuff coming. So please keep sharing and liking and all that. And outside of all that, I'm having a lot of fun doing this shit. So yeah, please keep talking about us and sharing and liking, and any discussions you want to have, message me, or any debates you want to have. Be nice, but message me anytime on any of the pages. Also, like I've said, we have an affiliation with Mystique Jerseys, so be sure to check them out. We have the link in the bio on Instagram. Do check them out. They're really good, and use the promo code Go Grab That Day, all caps, to get your percentage off. Yeah, some really cool stuff on that website, so go check them out. They're very good. Anyway, let's get into this shit. Let's talk about some violence and some blood, guts, glory, all that kind of thing. So very quickly, I'll run through the Blaydes versus Lewis card. Prelims are not cool enough to talk about. So we'll just get through the main card here. So on the opener of the main card was Arlovsky versus Tom Aspanal, which was a great win for Tom Aspanal, who's a new guy coming up in the heavyweight division. I believe he's from England. I'm maybe wrong. I think they said Birmingham, England, something like that. But anyway, yeah, very good prospect. He submitted Arlovsky, that's a big name to have on your CV. So it was a good win for him. He pretty much put Arlovsky through the cage with if you want to call it a takedown, it was more like a fucking spear from WWE. But the great finish. He got I believe it was a guillotine, I think, from what I remember. But good win, good name to have on your, as I said, good name to have on your CV when you're trying to break into that top of the pile in the heavyweight division. But he's another good name. Heavyweight is slowly getting kind of exciting with some of the names that are coming through. A couple of more one more anyway I'll talk about later. So going through the card, then we had Phil Hawes defeating Nasruddin Imavov by decision, and then another heavyweight was Chris Dawkins beating Alexis via KO or TKO in the first round. Good win from Dawkins. Is another guy I think is going to cause a lot of trouble for people in that heavyweight division. And he seems to be kind of slowly putting together some good wins. Olenek, I think, is another one of these. It's maybe his time is up. He's been taking a lot of beatings, like even in fights that he has won. A great submission artist, but even in fights that he has won, he's been taking a lot of punishment. And I believe he's in his early 40s now. I think he's 41, 42, something like that. But he's old enough to retire anyway, so I'd like to see maybe Olenek hanging up after maybe one more, or even without one more. But look, great fighter, great submission artist. There's no denying that. It just takes an awful lot of punishment. But nevertheless, it was a great win for Chris Dawkins, and he's probably one that him and Tom Aspanal are probably guys to keep an eye on, because they're good, well-rounded fighters. Then it was a very good fight, Derek Minner versus Charles Rosa, which is a good fight too. Minner getting the win there, and Yanakuniskaya versus Catalan Vera. Kuniskaya is, I believe, she's married to the light heavyweight, the UFC. God, every time I think of doing this fucking podcast, the names slip away from me. The Hammer, Maheta. Why can't I think of his name? I'll put it up. Jesus Christ. Anyway, she got a good win. The decision, round 3. Yeah, that wasn't a bad fight either. It was a pretty one-sided performance. Running through this card pretty quick here, but because I want to spend a few minutes talking about what the hell happened in the main event. Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes. This was insane. In typical Derek Lewis fashion. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, and obviously I'm a bit late to the party, unfortunately, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Obviously it was in the second round, but like Curtis Blaydes was well on top up until Derek Lewis landed that absolute rocket of a right hand that put Curtis Blaydes out the second he touched him. So one thing about Derek Lewis is, I know people like to compare, like, is he the most powerful heavyweight? Compared to Ngannou and whoever else you want to talk about. I think the thing with Derek Lewis is he more powerful than Ngannou? Maybe. But I think the thing is with him is he just doesn't look more powerful. Like, you have Rozenstruik, you have Ngannou, they look like they're powerful. They have that build about them. Lewis doesn't, and he just doesn't. He hides some of these shots. But what he does to guys when he touches them it's insane. Like this, he landed a clean uppercut. You could see he was trying to do it and trying to time it when Curtis Blaydes was shooting in to take him down. He was trying to time that winding uppercut, and he timed it perfectly. But it's as soon as he touches these guys, their lights go out. Now, he landed a couple of heavy shots after that, which it's not his fault, and I don't think it's the referee's fault either. You can only get there as quick as you can get there. They were heavy shots that he landed while Blaydes was already out, but I mean, I don't think there was any malice in it. I think Derek Lewis was just, he said afterwards, for all he knows, it was quite a funny comment he said in the post-fight presser. He said, for all I know, this guy's going to do an Undertaker and rise up, Undertaker from the WWE, and just rise up, and I'll have to beat him again. But yeah, it's his job to finish the fight. It's the ref's job to get there quick enough. But no, I don't think there's any malice in it. He was just getting the job done. But it was such, like, Blaydes was out second he touched him on the chin. But yeah, that's my theory on that is that I think Lewis fools a lot of people because he just doesn't look as powerful, because he's not an explosive move. He is an explosive mover, but it's hidden kind of explosion that he has. Like, Ngannou looks like he'd take your head off. Same with Rozenstruik, same with some of these other guys. Lewis just doesn't look it, and then all of a sudden he'll just wind up and take your fucking head off. But what a win for him. That was a tough opponent in my opinion. I thought Blaydes was going to win that, which I told a few guys. But just when you have power like Derek Lewis, it's like a trump card you'd always have. And I think he even said afterwards, he didn't feel good in that fight. He found it hard to get going, and he just slept Curtis Blaydes. It's insane power. I love that Daniel Cormier spoke about how this is probably why the fight between Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou was so poor. That both guys, were, knew to fear the power. Obviously, everyone knows how powerful Ngannou is, but Ngannou clearly knew how powerful Derek Lewis was as well. And that was just the apprehension. You're afraid to get your lights put out, I suppose. Now, it was a terrible fight, but, we'll get on to another poor fight later. But yeah, like Lewis, where does he go next? I don't know. I would not pick him to go on and win the title, but you're only ever a couple of wins away in that division to getting a shot at the title. But who he fights next, I'm not sure. But there is some exciting fights there for him. Like I said, the other two guys I named earlier that are coming up in that division, Aspanal and Dawkins, heavyweight is getting kind of exciting, and it's good to see some younger names coming up. You always have these older fighters that are there, but still exciting to have your like Derek Lewis and your Ngannous and all that. And of course, the talk of John Bones Jones coming up to heavyweight soon as well, or supposedly training for heavyweight as we speak. That division is quite exciting at the moment. In terms of Curtis Blaydes, that's a tough loss for him, but he's still a dangerous. Like, he was winning that fight 100%. It's just with Derek Lewis, he just has that ability to flick your switch off like that, and that's it. But that was a tough knockout. It took Blaydes a while to recover in the cage from what I heard with the commentators anyway. So I hopefully get, recover a little bit, get back into it. It was funny, someone had mentioned I believe it was Michael Bisping had mentioned that one of the coaches, God, who was it? Was it possibly Dominic Cruz or someone like that, had spoke about how Curtis Blaydes has a, I don't want to call it lazy, but slightly lazy takedown sometimes when he's kind of going from striking to takedown, when he's mixing it up like that. Separately, he's quite good at both, but when he tries to mix it in, that his takedown attempt can be slightly laboured or lazy. One of the ex-fighters in the UFC had mentioned that, and Michael Bisping talked about it on the broadcast. And I wonder if that's what happened there. If maybe Lewis got his timing, and that's why he slept him. But it was quite. They spoke about as well the reason Lewis kind of favoured throwing that winding uppercut was it also gets your underhooks when someone is trying to take you down. So if you wind and you miss the uppercut, your underhook is there, so you can defend the takedown. So it's quite a smart game plan with Lewis, and obviously he's a very, very fun character. He's one of the funniest guys online in terms of social media fanfare and things like that. He is quite interesting, always funny on the mic as well. So yeah, I mean, he's still in there mixing it up, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I don't know who he gets next. There's still a lot of hold up there as well between, obviously Jones, and I was the next big name coming in. He's probably going to get the title shot, but Gane was there waiting as well. So be interesting to see what happens over the next few months. But there is some exciting prospects there, and we'll talk about another one in a few minutes. But yes, skipping on from that card, I don't want to stay too long on it because obviously I'm a bit late to it, so I want to be a little more up to date with you fuckers. But moving on to the card that was on today, which is another fight night, Rozenstruik versus Gane, or Gane, however you want to pronounce it, but I'm going to say Gane. So running down very quickly, there wasn't a lot of fights on this card. There was a couple of them cancelled, or one of them was cancelled anyway. I believe Angela Hill was supposed to be fighting. I don't know actually what happened there, but probably another COVID shit thing. But yeah, running through the prelims here, trying to get through as quick as I can. A good win for Dustin Jacoby. That was not a bad fight against Maxim Grishin. Ronnie Lawrence versus Vince Cachiro. That was a good fight. Both guys came off. This is in the bantamweight division. Both guys came off Dana White's Contender Series. And this Ronnie Lawrence was very, very exciting. It's an exciting fight all round, but he's so well rounded, and I suppose Dana White has tipped him to be one for the future. But really exciting. Has a bit of everything. Has striking. Has some really, really heavy takedowns, and his scrambles. But his pace, the pace that both guys pushed, like Vince Cachiro was the same as well. But Ronnie Lawrence just seemed to kind of be in his face, constantly moving, constantly putting pressure. I think in the end, Vince Cachiro was just a step behind, but very good fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing both of them fight again, but in particular Ronnie Lawrence. Yeah, super exciting guy, so be sure to check him out when he's fighting again. He won via TKO in the third round. But yeah, it was an exciting, high-paced fight. And then you had women's bantamweight, which is Alexis Davis versus Sabrina Mazzo. Good win for Davis. She was in a bit of trouble early on in the fight, but she had to put together some takedowns and good leg kicks, and kind of pushed a good pace on Sabrina Mazzo because she was that bit taller too. But yeah, it was a good win for her as well. And then you had the lightweight, but this is a good fight too. It was actually not a bad card all round. The prelims were quite good. But you had the mauler, Alexander Hernandez versus Thiago Moises. Moises getting the win via decision in the end, but a pretty back and forth fight again. Like Hernandez is always both guys are actually always pretty exciting in their fights, but Moises was just a little step ahead in pretty much everything. But another high-paced, very back-and-forth fight as well. Good win for Moises. And in like that, I always talk about that stacked lightweight division. You've got to put on some good performances to climb up that division with all the names that are in there. And then we had, to kick off the main card, was Bruce Leroy Alex Caceres versus Kevin Croom. Yeah, a lot of kind of hype around Kevin Croom because he's kind of a funny guy on the mic and stuff like that, and he's done some funny things in the build-up. And a lot of people know what Alex Caceres is like. He's kind of the same, sort of a funny character. Kevin Croom definitely has some things to work on. An exciting fighter, a tough dude, super tough, but just took a lot of heavy shots in this fight. I believe Bisping talked about it on the broadcast as well, how defensively not very good, just took a lot of heavy shots, took a bit of a beating. Never at any point looked like giving up, to be fair, but just, can't really get too far taking beatings like that. And Alex Caceres is a good taster, for that featherweight division. He's call him a vet now at this stage. He's been around a long time. He's fought a lot of the, some of the best fighters in the UFC, and he's fought a lot of fights. It's a super experience, so he's going to be a tough matchup for anyone. But defensively, Kevin Croom not the best, but at the same time, it's early days, and you win or learn. So hopefully he learns from that, because he's a very fun character and a tough dude. Moving on to the next fight, which in my opinion was definitely the fight of the night. It was a cracking fight, which was, people would have guessed Pedro Munoz versus Jim Rivera. Pace in this fight and the shots some of the guys were giving and taking was brilliant. I love to watch both of these guys fight. For bantamweight fighters, they hit like fucking heavyweights, and they can take shots like heavyweights as well. But some of the Munoz with his calf kicks were horrendous. Rivera, I think, was going into after the first round or possibly after the second. I can't remember for sure. His leg was fucked. He pretty much said it to his corner that he didn't know what to do with his leg. His leg was pretty much dead. Continued to fight on. You could see the leg was not there when he came out for I know it was the third or the second round, but just continued to put a pace. And then he was catching Munoz catching him back, and just heavy swinging leather, the two of them. Great fighters to watch. I do always love to watch either of those fight, and I'd watch the two of them fight each other every week. But Munoz got the win in the end, rightly so. I thought he was a step ahead, and the leg kicks were landing too. Heavy leg kicks. But yeah, good win for Munoz, and that's another exciting division, the bantamweight division. But tough outfit for either of those guys, are a tough fight for anybody. But Munoz, in my opinion, he's putting a couple of things together. He just needs to get a couple of things right to be up there challenging for the title in that division, in my opinion. I think sometimes he just likes to get caught in brawls too much, but that is how he fights. But when he fights that way, he's one of the best at it. But just maybe does it a little too often. That might be his issue. But super exciting fighter, one of my favourites to watch. And then you have moving on to Montana De La Rosa versus I think you pronounce it Maria Bueno Silva. How they spell Maria is quite weird, but yeah, it wasn't a bad fight. Bueno Silva had a point taken away. I think it was in the first round for fence grabbing, which is a great decision by the ref, because it was blatant. It was clear as day. De La Rosa would have taken her down. I'd like to see the refs do that more often. I don't even think they need a warning. I think if you grab the fence and you stop a takedown, it should be a point straight away, and it'll stop fighters doing it. The toe thing, it's kind of gone off topic here, but I never understood why they have an issue with people putting their toes through the cage. Fingers I understand, but you're not going to do much grabbing with your toes, and sometimes it's hard to avoid that when you're pushing off the cage with your feet. But anyway, I thought it was a great decision by the ref to deduct a point from Bueno Silva. And the fight ended in a draw. It was probably fair. It was kind of pretty back and forth. De La Rosa, as usual, is always trying to get them get you on the ground and control you from there, and she did for some of the fight. I think a draw might have been a fair decision. The women's flyweight. Moving on to the co-main, which is light heavyweight. Which is Nikita Krylov versus Magomed Ankalaev. This was, I think, not as fun a fight as people thought it was going to be. It kind of had super exciting fight written all over, but it wasn't bad. It was still, worth watching. It was pretty back and forth, but Ankalaev winning with decision. So yeah, not bad. Yeah, it was good. It was a good win. Pretty back and forth fight, but I thought he deserved the win. Krylov, yeah, it was just not. I don't think it lived up to. A lot of people did not expect it to go even beyond the first round. Because they're such they're big guys, and usually they're pretty keen on getting a finish. But yeah, an okay fight. Unfortunately, the card kind of died down as you got towards the end. Moving on to the main event. A lot of things to say about the main event. Yeah, just I don't want to say it was a poor fight, but I can't really Cyril Gane won the fight via decision. You can't really fault him. But I was quite surprised at Jairzinho Rozenstruik the way he fought. He was very just waiting way too long. It made no sense to me why he was waiting so long. Obviously, maybe he was trying to catch him on the counter, but even towards you see after the first round finish, he's just waiting too much. Cyril Gane is just moving on the outside, touching, touching. Happy enough to keep doing that. That's what he does for a heavyweight. He moves really well, and for me, he's fun to watch. I quite like Cyril Gane, but I thought Rozenstruik, especially in that division where, like I said, things are getting a little more exciting. You have some heavy hitters, obviously the heavyweight division, but you have some exciting heavy hitters like Lewis last week who pumped his name up a bit with that knockout. Of course, Ngannou is, the boogeyman, that the one everyone is afraid of in that division. And then you have John Jones coming up. You need to kind of put your stamp on in my opinion, you need to put your stamp on a win now if you want to be getting a shot at Stipe. And in my opinion, Stipe does not have a lot of fights left in him in terms of, I think he's going to retire soon. You'll probably see him fight John Jones, and then maybe, I don't know if John Jones gets a shot, but I would imagine with his name he's probably going to, or whoever fights Stipe next. But I just think that fight tonight for both guys was a chance to get your name up there. I think they needed to do something. I'm not going to shit too much on Cyril Gane because I thought he did what he had to do. I just thought Rozenstruik, for his power and what people kind of expect from him, I thought he was very, very apprehensive. Way too apprehensive. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was just, like it's the first time I'd said after the fight that both guys left, there was no heavy breathing, for a full, to finish the full fight at heavyweight. Usually the guys are dead, they're breathing out of their asses. They were barely sweating, barely breathing heavy, so it's just not a good sign in my opinion. I thought, I'm going to pick on Rozenstruik a little more because I thought it was up to him to push the pace, because he wants, really, if you look at it, he's kind of the more, I want to say the more experienced guy, the guy who's fought some of the bigger names already. Yeah, just poor. I think he's done himself a little bit of harm after. Now, could have been reasons for it. It happens. It's happened with Francis Ngannou in the past. After he lost to Stipe, where he was a little gun shy in his next couple of fights. That could be the same thing here. So I don't want to shit him too much, but I just think if there's nothing behind it. It was a little poor. I don't think he did himself any favours. Cyril Gane as well. He did enough, you know what I mean? He fought the way he normally fights. He's a guy who likes to move in and out, and his movement was a joy to watch, if I'm being honest. Again, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but I did enjoy watching, for a big guy, how well he moves. He likes that kind of oblique kick to the thigh, and he was doing a lot of that. His jab was nice. Yeah, did enjoy his movement, and I like the way he changes it up a lot. I don't know. A reasonable performance from Cyril Gane, but not enough of a statement, I don't think. But it's a good win for him. He's still, again, he's slowly kind of coming into that division. He's kind of a new name. But yeah, during the broadcast, John Jones tweeted, kind of saying, these boys are going to have to do a lot more moving. He actually said these boys, something like they're going to have to do a lot more moving when Daddy comes home, referring to when he gets to that division. Yeah, so when John Jones comes up to that division, whatever happens, I don't know, it's kind of up in the air, but you need to make a bigger statement than that. Good win for Cyril Gane, but I just think biggie boy Rozenstruik, it's he hasn't done himself any favours. Whoever he gets next, he needs to make a big statement. Just to get relevant, to be somewhat relevant. I think like Cyril again is going to be a tough fight for some guys in that division because of the way he moves. Now, whether he can keep that kind of movement and that kind of pace against somebody who will meet him in the middle, you know. If he gets somebody who's going to meet him and push that pace with him, you know, someone who's going to grind him, wrestle him, you know, like a Stipe or someone like, whether he get a shot at a Stipe, I don't know, but even a Curtis Blaydes, say, who'll be grinding him and, you know, wearing him down, whether he can do that, we'll see. But somewhat exciting to see. Like I was saying earlier, there is some exciting prospects in that division. And again, that's why I say Rozenstruik did not do himself any favours. But, you know, again, could have been a gun-shy thing. You know, not that long ago he was knocked out by Ngannou, so that can have an effect on you, you know. It could just be tentative. Yeah, but not the fight we kind of thought it was going to be. But, yeah, we'll see what happens next, you know. That division is a little up in the air as to what's happening. You don't know whether is it going to be a Jones versus Ngannou for the winner gets Stipe, or is it Jones straight up to fight Stipe, which I suppose is a little unfair to Ngannou, but at the same time Ngannou had a shot against Stipe. So there's arguments for all sides. Not doing themselves any favours in that fight tonight. But credit to Cyril again, you know, he's 8-0 now, and might slowly be making a name for himself too. So it'd be interesting to see who he gets next. And if somebody, I'd like to see him maybe fight a Curtis Blaydes. Maybe not next, maybe go, like Rozenstruik is a big name in that division, so he can only get somewhat bigger name next. So we'll see who he may get. That is all the breakdowns done, really. Yeah, that's all of that. We're going to look ahead to next week. Kind of rush through those two cards. Again, we will try not to let that happen again where we miss a fight card, but it's just, like I said, it was out of our hands, kind of busy, and just get off my back. But, so we'll have a quick look at what's happening next week, which is, shit, what a fight card coming up next week. UFC 259. So I'm not going to break any of this down, obviously, because I'll get the chance to do that next week. But one thing I wanted to talk about is what we are hoping to do next week, hopefully for the fights, is kind of a fight companion kind of thing, like what you see certain other podcasts doing. You know, kind of we'll have maybe myself and 2 others, maybe 3 others on we'll do it over a Zoom call, obviously, because the way lockdowns and all that kind of shit is. But we'll do it via Zoom. We'll just, you know, get our reactions and our thoughts on the fights and stuff like that. We might get some fun content out of it. And depending on how it goes, it might be a new thing we do. But yeah, we're hoping to do it for the fight card next week if everything works out the way it should. And that might be something fun. I'll still break down the card afterwards. But yeah, we might have a bit of fun with kind of my own version of a fight companion. We might kind of do it every couple of months, or every time there's a really big card or whatever. But yeah, that's what we're hoping to do next week, so be sure to check in. We're not going to do it, I know it kind of defeats the purpose, but we're not going to send it out live, just because I prefer to, it's still early days, and I'd like to edit these things, you know, just in case of any technical issues and stuff like that. Using Zoom, you never know what could go wrong, and the guys we have coming on are going to be, you know, some are going to be based where I am, others are going to be based in Ireland, so that's kind of how it's going to be. But it still should make for some fun content, and we'll get it out. I'll hopefully have it out by Sunday evening, and might get a laugh out of that, so be sure to check it out. But if anything changes and it's not going up, obviously I'll have it up on the Instagram or the bat signal. Go grab that day bat signal somewhere. But anyway, looking ahead to the insane fight card next week, so I'm going to go to the early prelims. Like, the entire card is pretty fucking wicked. So kicking off the early prelims, Mario Bautista versus Trevin Jones. Then you got Oris Medic versus Alan Cruz. Livia Renato Souza versus Amanda Lemos. Then you got Sean Brady, Jake Matthews, Kennedy Nzechukwu, I think. Nzechukwu, I don't know, something like that. Kennedy is his first name, so fighting Carlos Ulberg. So Carlos Ulberg getting his first fight in the UFC. Carlos is based out of City Kickboxing here in New Zealand. So another exciting prospect out of that gym. And then you have, exciting fight, flyweight, Tim Elliott versus Jordan Espinosa to close the early prelims. Tim Elliott usually part of exciting fights. Then moving on to the prelims. You got Rogerio Bontorin versus Kai Kara France, another CKB guy. Joseph Benavidez versus Askar Askarov, which is a good fight too. Kyler Phillips versus Song Yadong, and then Dominic Cruz versus Casey Kennedy, that's a good fight. That's closing the preliminary card. Yeah, Cruz versus Kenny, I like that fight. I like both fighters. And then going on to the fucking stacked main card. That's the name I was looking for earlier. It was Yanakuniskaya's husband is Thiago Santos. Maheta Santos, that's the name I was looking for. So, anyway, Santos versus Rakic to start off the fucking main card, which is probably, I don't want to say it's my favourite fight on the card, but it's one of them. I mean, it's such a stacked card, it's hard to really pick, but that is going to be such a good fight. Somebody's going to sleep. And possibly somebody in the audience as well. If there is an audience, I'm not even sure. But yeah, that's a serious, that could fucking main event any card. But you have, Rakic versus Thiago Santos, then Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober, very good fight too. And then you have the start of 3 title fights. I love that they're doing this. But you have Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson, and then Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. Fuck, what a card from top to bottom. That is seriously good. So let's touch wood and pray to the MMA gods that nobody falls out or anything happens. But such a super exciting card. I'm not going to make any picks because I fucking don't like to make picks, so I'm always wrong and then I feel like shit. But I don't know. If you want me to guess, I'll go ahead and have a little guess, but like I said, I'm not too sure. I will go with Santos versus Rakic. I will go with Makhachev versus Drew Dober, and then Peter Yan and Sterling. I don't know. I do not know. That's a tough one. I can't really pick in that one. I see. I don't know. Flip a coin. Rock, paper, scissors. In the co-main, I'm going to lean towards Amanda Nunes, but I don't think Megan Anderson is an easy fight for her. She's so long and tall that she may cause some problems, but like Nunes is Nunes, the female goat. So I see Nunes probably taking that fight. I think early Anderson might cause her some problems with the reach, but anyway, I'm not going to break it down too much because I'll save that for next week. And then in the main event, you got Adesanya versus Blachowicz. Fucking hell, this shit is insane. That one I can't call either. Be interesting to see what Adesanya is like stepping up in weight, especially when he's kind of saying that they haven't really packed on any muscle or anything like that. Now I was watching the boxing last night. Junior Fa against holy shit, man, what is wrong with my brain? Joseph Parker, thank you, camera woman. Junior Fa versus Joseph Parker I was watching last night, and Adesanya was in the crowd and he did look a bit beefy, but of course they have said that he has not put on any extra muscle or anything like that. He's just kind of at his walking around weight, which is interesting. Usually when guys go up in weight, you've seen it with Luke Rockhold and guys like that, they just look a little slower because they've packed on a little extra weight or muscle or whatever it may be. So interesting. Adesanya is a better striker here, but Blachowicz with that Polish power, you just don't fucking know, man. But yeah, fun fight or fun card all round. Super excited about it. It's such a fun card, and I'm hoping, like I said, to have a couple of other experts on with me on a Zoom call, hopefully to break things down and talk everything fights and make things quite exciting. So yeah, that's it for today, folks. I appreciate everyone listening and appreciate the support as always. I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, please keep subscribing, keep spreading the word. Yeah, let's get these subscribers up. Let's reach 1 million by the end of the week. No, really, let's get these numbers up as much as we can. I'd appreciate it. I can keep doing this shit, keep having fun, and keep breaking down these cards. Basically talking shit. So yeah, thanks guys. Have a good day, good weekend, good week, good whatever. Go grab that day. Check out Mystique jerseys. Check out my Instagram page. Check out everything. Just keep sharing. Take care.